This is our DSC show. Today, we have a special guest. But first, my name is Daniel Joe. I'll be your co-host with Lydia. Go ahead.
I'm Lydia. I am a front-end tech lead for Google Developer Student Club. Nice to meet you guys.
All right, and we now have our special guest. He is a founding member of the Google DSC at Cal State Long Beach. We have Kevin Patel. Kevin, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah. What's up, guys? Hey, my name is Kevin, former Google Developer Student Club member at Cal State Long Beach. I was the tech lead for year 2020-21. And I'm also a CSULB alumni, just graduated May 2021 in computer science. So happy to be here. Happy that you guys are doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so we're gonna start off asking you some questions about Cal State Long Beach and your experience and your thoughts about it. So what made you pursue computer science in the first place?
Yeah, so it was actually really interesting because like in high school, I never like really even saw myself in the educational field. I just have to put that out there. Full disclosure, I wanted to be a professional skateboarder. And so after I graduated high school, around that time, like I was taking like pre-calc, and I remember just having to really bust my butt for that class because I was like at the verge of getting a D and not passing that class. So I had to like really start grinding a little bit, you know? And from that experience, ironically, like I kind of knew that I had like a little bit of interest in math, I guess, because that was just that one field that like I really liked out of all the other ones that I had in high school. And one day I was just having a conversation with my friends at the park, and one of my friends, he's studying computer science at Cal State Fullerton, and I was just kind of asking him like, hey, you know, I'm gonna go into community college. I went to Cypress College before I transferred to Cal State Long Beach, and I was just trying to ask him like, hey, what should I study? What would you recommend? And he mentioned that computer science would be really cool just because it's like a combination of math and science. And I never even knew what that meant, but I just thought it sounded pretty cool. And so I just went with it. And I think it was when I took my first C++ class that I kind of knew that this was the path that I wanted to pursue, because it really challenged me. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm like not good at all when it comes to just like problem solving, conditions, like solving, like thinking logically. And so I think that's really what made me want to pursue it, though. It was kind of like, okay, I want to get better at this, because it was really rewarding for me at times where I would see my progress and I would do a little bit better each time. So that kind of fueled me to pursue computer science.
It's really inspiring. Just to backtrack a bit, like I was kind of interested when you said you wanted to be a professional skateboarder. So was skateboarding like your hobby back then?
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Skateboarding. I also played a lot of basketball. I really love basketball. So yeah, those two for sure.
Oh, that's interesting. So my next question is, what were some of your favorite classes at Cal State Long Beach?
My favorite classes I would have to say would like be the whole series for data structures and algorithms, because 228 was actually my first class. What was that one? Discrete math. Discrete math was my first class at Long Beach, and I really enjoyed it. It was fun. It was interesting. And then 328 was really interesting. And then I think my favorite class would have to be 428, which was analysis of algorithms. I actually withdrew from that class because I just couldn't keep up with the material, but it was really fun. And even till this day, I'm still learning data structures and algorithms and just trying to become better at them, because I feel that I'm able to like leverage them for when I'm doing my work too, which we'll get into later on. So yeah, I really like the data structures and algorithms courses.
Wow, that's really interesting. So how do you maximize your time here? I mean, how did you like before you were a student at Cal State Long Beach? How did you like
Mhm.
manage your time and
Mhm.
keep up with some classes, even though college can be overwhelming?
Yeah, definitely. So my first semester, I just well, I was fortunate enough to like have the opportunity to focus on school full time, and I didn't have any other responsibilities outside of that. So my first semester at Cal State Long Beach, um, I just studied for all my courses, and it wasn't too bad because I just had like two GEs and like two lower division comp sci courses. But like I still felt like the pressure and just like the transition from community college to Cal State taking on like a full time schedule was definitely challenging for me. And I wanted to like start getting into more clubs and just seeing what else was out there. And unfortunately, I didn't join any of the, or I did join clubs, but I didn't get to participate as much as I wanted to because I was just so much more overwhelmed by my courses. So I prioritized them just to just to write it out my first semester. And then after that, I was like, okay, let me try to join like a club next semester because you only get to go to college once, right? So that was kind of the driving force there.
I see. So what clubs did you like join?
So my first like official club. Oh well, I was in ACM. I was also in there was a embedded applications. I forgot what the full club name was, but I was in them. I just wasn't really active. The first club that I was really active in was for the Associated Engineering Student Body, AESB. That's actually where I met Carlos too, my friend there. But I joined ASB and I was the industry chair, and that was so fun, guys. Like I really enjoyed that experience because I met a lot of friends there, and we also got to launch this really cool event, which was called Industry Night. And during Industry Night, everything that led up to it, we were working together to contact a lot of different engineering organizations to have them come out to Cal State Long Beach and just, and this was during Engineering Week. I don't know if like Long Beach is still doing it now, but there's a week where different organizations will host events to allow students to network with engineering professionals. And so we did that at Cal State Long Beach, and we had a lot of different engineering organizations there. So that was really fun. Like I really enjoyed that. And then from there, I also joined Women in Computing, and I was the industry chair for Women in Computing. And what other organization did I join? Sorry, I'm trying to think like what else I joined. Definitely the Google Developer Student Club. And I joined ACM. I worked a little bit on the beach hacks for last semester. I was in the web development team, and so just helped like modify the site a little bit, and so that was really fun just to contribute to, and yeah, and Google Developer Student Club. So those, I think, 4 clubs I was in. Yeah.
Oh, I see. So during your time at Long Beach, did you have any regrets about colleges? And there are times that you want to go back and just redo everything?
Ooh, that was a great question. I think like for me, one thing that like I look at when I reflect now is knowing what it is that I really want. And so like initially when I was at community college and I was studying a lot, my only goal was to get into a really good school. So I wanted to get to like the UC and the top like CS schools. And truth be told, I didn't really get into any of them. I really wanted to go to UCI. I didn't get into UCI. I got into UCSD, but that was after a waiting process. I was waitlisted and then I got in. But at that time, I had already decided for Cal State Long Beach, and my mindset was like shifting a little bit. So after I found out that I couldn't get into these UCs, my shift came into this realization that okay, well, I want to go to school because I want to get my degree. I want to get my degree. I want to get my degree. And then after that, it was like, well, I think the main reason that I want to be here is so that way I can learn. And throughout that process, I found out that like what really helped me learn was to spend my time on the material and really dive in, and just like I feel like that's the best way to really master something. And I felt like in school, when I was taking these full-time courses, I just didn't have enough time to really allocate as much as I want to like a particular subject to really become better at it. And so that's one thing that I realized throughout the time, was that I actually really just want to learn because I love learning. And so if I had to do something different, I think what I would have done was taken maybe lesser courses and try to continue getting involved, just like how you guys are now with Google Developer Student Club, and practice working on projects, because I was inspired by my friends who were doing that before me. I just thought it was really cool that they were doing it. And so, and that's what I noticed, was that when like I got into DSC, even in ASB, I was learning little things that I wouldn't have learned in my classes. And so I think that would be like the main different thing that I would do, is just maybe, even if it meant a little bit longer time for me to graduate, I feel like it would have been worth it for me to have taken lesser courses, just so that way I can like find out what I really like, and just ultimately continue learning, because that's the biggest thing for me.
It's really inspiring when you said that you want to continue learning like new things, because I feel that having that growth mindset is really important when it comes to like getting jobs, because every day technology is improving and it's changing constantly. So like you need to have that growth mindset to constantly new things. So I just like really like that part of you when you said that like you're like willing to learn new things. Yeah. And so no problem. So one last question I have for you is that, do you have any tips to say to our audience? Like if let's say like since you have some experience for job hunting, do you have like any tips on to improve, or some tips to how to survive college, anything?
Yeah, definitely. So I think one thing I would say is just don't get discouraged. Keep on trying. And I'm not even saying this because I know it's like a cliche that you hear, keep on trying. But honestly, like just keep on trying, because the more that you try doing something, you start to realize what it is that you truly want to do. And once you realize what you truly want to do, that becomes really powerful, because then it's just a matter of not putting the pieces together, but just continue doing it and getting better. And so to go back to like my example with college, how initially I thought I just wanted to go to UC, and it was more of just like my pride getting involved, and be like, yeah, I go to UC, but now, like so much after time, I realize it's like, no, it's actually so I can learn. And so if I have to give any advice to people, I would say just find out what you really enjoy, find out what you really love, regardless if it's in the CS field or not, and just keep on trying. And one thing, I was looking at the podcast with Jacob. It was the podcast with Jacob, who's also a former DSC lead, and he talked about how you should try a breadth. So like expose yourself to different things, try different things. And I think that's really important, because once you start trying different things, you get a feel for it. And that, I feel, will help you evaluate what it is that you really like to do. And so for students out there, I would encourage you guys, continue trying to step out of your comfort zone and join different clubs, and really put the effort in to get involved, because once you do that, you can really grow. And aside from the benefits of being able to put that on your resume, I feel that the biggest value is that you get to really build yourself, and you get to prepare yourself before you actually start working in the industry. And so that's why I was really happy I joined the GDSC, and we worked on that project together. I really enjoyed it because now when I make the transition into industry, I feel more comfortable as I work with my peers, and I notice how much I really enjoy working in the team environment because I got that opportunity way before I joined the industry. So keep on getting involved, guys. Keep working, and just don't get discouraged. That would be my biggest advice.
Thank you for your advice, Kevin. All right, so now we're gonna head on to Daniel's questions to talk about GDSC and extracurriculars.
Yeah, I'm really inspired by what Kevin said. Honestly, I haven't heard a lot of this. I'm sure Lydia hasn't heard of much of Kevin's story like from the beginnings either. So I'm really inspired by like how like starting from pre-calc, like it's just such like a beginner step to computer science, but just starting to work hard from there is really inspiring, and just continue to work, continuing to learn even now. Like it's even if you already have a job, you're always trying to learn more, trying to stay more involved. And even you're here just sharing your story to help other people, current students, to continue to grow. So yeah, I'm really thankful that you're sharing this right now. And so I wanted to kind of talk more about GDSC as you were part of the core team, the first core team at Cal State Long Beach. So my first question would probably be like, what inspired you or motivated you to become like the technical lead of GDSC, and how did everything form together?
Yeah. Oh man, great question. First of all, shout out GDSC. Shout out to Anudit. Shout out to Luke. All the guys that were involved in there. Jacob, Shujoy, Brenda. I'm just naming people that were there, but and all the active members. Shout out to you, Daniel. Shout out to you, Lydia. Everyone. It was just like, I think what motivated me to join GDSC was the solution challenge, because that was like the big advertisement for me. That was like, that sold me right there. I was just on Discord one day, and then I saw in the WIC group channel, Anudit had posted, he was like, hey, we're starting this Google Developer Student Club. And I'm like, oh, what? It kind of popped out at my eyes, Google Developer Student Club. And so I looked into it and I visited the main page, and I was just so inspired because I saw students from all parts of the world in different universities working together to solve a problem. And I feel that fundamentally that's what we do as engineers, is we try to solve problems. And I always get inspired by that. And so, and after seeing some of the stories from students in like Indonesia and Africa, seeing what they did, I was like, oh man, this would be really, really, really cool. And so once the applications opened up, of course, there was different spots, right? There was like the tech lead, communications lead, events lead, and then as a general member, just to join the club. And I was thinking about it, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, like I was really uncertain about like the tech lead position. I just honestly didn't feel that I was equipped to do it. But I just decided like, hey, I'm just gonna shoot my shot. I feel like I don't have anything to lose. I feel like this would just be a great opportunity to learn. And ultimately, what I just really wanted to do was be a part of the solution challenge. And I guess also from a lack of resources, I thought that in order for me to be involved in the solution challenge, I had to be a lead. So, so I went into it, and then what's it called? Anudit had told me, he was like, hey, Kev, you can be involved in the solution challenge however you see fit, even if you're just a member or even if you're a tech lead. And so like, oh, okay, cool. And so that was like the most important thing for me, was just being able to participate in the solution challenge. So so yeah, thankful to Nudit. I think I got chosen because one of the questions on the Google form, it had asked, it was like, okay, let's say you're in a time machine and you travel, let's say like 30, 50 years into the future. And then you look at yourself in the mirror, what's the first thing you're going to say? That was one of the questions. And I was like, I put in the Google form, I was like, am I really bald? So so I thought like, okay, that's probably why like Anudit picked me as the tech lead. So when I got that email, I was just so happy. I was like, wow. And even to this day, I thank Anudit so much because if it weren't for him, I would have never had the opportunity. So shout out to Anudit and so yeah, yeah,
I see. Thank you for sharing.
yeah.
I hope that you do not become bald in the near future. But yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
really important for people to just like, even for me, as well, like last year was actually my first year at Long Beach too, and I felt like very unqualified because for the solution challenge, I was like, I don't really know anything and I don't know how to
Yeah.
like build anything. And so,
Yeah.
but I ended up doing it. And I feel like I've grown because I strive to become better and sought
Mhm.
roles that I felt unqualified for, but it really allowed me to push
Mhm.
myself. So I think, yeah, it's definitely something that everyone should do. It's okay to feel like um, you're kind of unqualified. You can feel like you don't know much, but through that challenge, you can be inspired to grow more. So yeah, I guess um, you were motivated for the GDSC because of the solution challenge. For context for our audience, Lydia, Kevin, our communications lead, Brendan, and I, we worked on a solution challenge together. And so, Kevin, do you kind of want to explain like the benefits that you received from the solution challenge last spring?
Yeah, definitely. So uh, I feel like there's just like so many things. Well, going back to like as I was saying earlier, when I was encouraging students to get involved in projects, one of the reasons why I suggested that is again, you get to evaluate whether this is something that you really enjoy or not. And I feel like that's really important to know, especially in the computer science field or really in any field, if you're trying to find out what it is that you really love to do. And so for me, I think that was a great thing that this solution challenge provided for me because I already knew beginning before I joined and worked on the solution challenge that I wanted to work in an environment to build a project with a team. And so once I got that opportunity, um, it, it like it really just it was great. It was really just a great thing that manifested. And of course, I got to meet you guys. You guys are really awesome, incredible. You guys inspired me. Just seeing the work that you did is just so, it's like, wow. And like seeing your guys' growth too. So it's really, I would say what motivated me was being able to work in that environment, working with other people, because the summer prior to it, I was working, or during the pandemic, during like the break time, I spent a lot of time just working on projects myself, just trying to develop my own skills and really learn how to code and build projects. So that was nice, but this one was even better because now it's a community project. Learning how to use Git, I'm learning how to use version control, how to contribute with a team. And it was just really great. It's just like we all have our own ideas, and I feel like we just continue building from one another. And I want to give a shout out to you guys because initially I had to, once we had our issue with the solution challenge where we just to give some context to the audience, initially in our solution challenge we had a large team size. I think it was a little bit over 10 or 15 members or so. And we had a back end team, we had a front end team, and we had a creative team. And so we all went into this with the idea that we can all work together on this project and submit it for the solution challenge. And before the semester began, where we would submit our project, we found out that our team size can only be 4 people. And so once that happened, uh, like we had various alternatives, but long story short, we all kind of went our own ways. And Daniel, Lydia, and Brendan's team, they invited me to join them. And so that's why I'm giving them a shout out. And it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. We worked on the front end with Flutter. Flutter is really cool. I'm sure the audience will hear a lot about Flutter. And then on the back end, we worked with Firebase, which is really cool. You can get up and running on projects really fast with these tools. And I think another benefit is that once you start learning these tools, you can apply them to other projects. You can join hackathons. And there was also one incident where me, Lydia, Brendan, and another one of our friends, I think it was Lydia's friend or Brendan's friend, but they're also my friend. We participated in the Women in Computing Hackathon. And this was right around the time that we were working on our own project for GDSC. And we leveraged our knowledge from building the project with Flutter to help us with our hackathon. And we ended up actually winning the project. We won for the best, I think it was top mental health app. And so that was really cool. And so again, I think that's one of the biggest benefits is you get to work, meet awesome people, get to collaborate and learn new tools, learn new technologies. And from it all, you get to really find out, is this something that I really love? Or is there something else out there that I want to do? So yeah, shout out to you guys again. That was really fun.
Thank you for the shout out.
Yeah.
So you mentioned like a lot about like learning new technologies, using them on projects. I feel something good to like talk about would probably be like, how do you learn new technologies and like how do you start projects? Because for me, like when I was a beginner, like I was kind of afraid to start a project. Like in some ways, I didn't know what to make. Like I was like, what can I do with the skills I have? Like I know Python, but I don't know how to apply it to anything. And I felt a little afraid to like start on a project that I didn't know how to create or start. So what are some like tips that you would do, like you would share about how to learn technologies and how to like start projects?
Yeah, definitely. That's such a great question. Like I find myself today, even like as I'm learning, because at my work I'm working on a project where we're using Python, and I have like going into it, I had little experience with Python because I didn't practice it that much. So I was just kind of thinking to myself like, how can I do this? And that's when I started just Googling things and just really just trying to well, I was fortunate because Python isn't too difficult of a language to learn if you have previous coding experience. So I think a better example would be when I started learning web development. So I kind of already had an idea of what it was that I wanted to learn. So I knew I wanted to learn web development, and particularly I was interested in building web apps. And so I started, first thing I started doing was like researching a little bit, seeing how are web apps developed. And I started learning what programming languages are used to develop web apps. So that gave me an idea, okay, these are the languages that I need to learn. So I would try to find the best, I would do some research to find the best resource for me. And that ended up being Mozilla Web Dev. They have a web dev page where they have tutorials for HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And I thought they were really helpful because not only did they thoroughly break down all the syntax and different concepts of the programming languages, but they would also have little quizzes at the end to test your understanding. And so I did that for a little bit, and that really helped me out. And once I started seeing a little bit of progress, I tried to come up with ideas about what I can try to build, because I feel that you can start to really learn something by applying what it is that you learn from it. And so with web apps, the first idea that I had was developing a portfolio page. And I felt that that was something that I could do at my beginner level. And so I would go onto the Mozilla Web Dev site and I would learn. And every time I would learn something new, I would go to my portfolio site, create a folder, and then I would start coding some of the things that I would learn. And I would see how I can apply it and that slowly helped me grow. From there, I learned about working with C# a little bit, and that was from taking a class at Cal State Long Beach. But ultimately, I just kept I knew what it was that I wanted to build, and I kept trying to research to find out how I can build it. And once I knew what I needed to know to build it, I just kept trying to learn those things, and then kept trying them to apply them to the project. And I think another great way to learn is by being in a community of people that are constantly learning. And so that's why GDSC is such a great place, because I remember when I was the tech lead, every week, Anudit, Shujoy, they're the previous leads, they would always drop an event, whether it be on Flutter or whether it be on Firebase. And I really enjoyed those events because I felt like I learned a lot from the developers that were there, because they would share their little tips, and it would just be like the most subtle things, but I would learn from them, and that would also help me going forward. And I think that's one of the best ways to learn, is if you're able to find someone who you think does a tremendous job at teaching, that can save you a lot of time, because once you see their process and you see the way that they work, you can then apply that to your own projects and go from there. So continue seeking resources and find the ones that you feel are most helpful, and use them to apply them to build your own projects or team building projects as well.
Awesome. That's great. There's so many resources out there, and thank you for sharing about your experience on just beginning like those small steps to like be able to work on those huge projects at companies at your current job right now. I hope that this definitely will be a good advice for those who are trying to like start new projects to start learning, and also for like the solution challenge. So yeah, so heading away from the GDSC area, all the questions from there, we're gonna now talk about more about like your life after college. This required a little bit of me stalking your LinkedIn. So you mentioned in your LinkedIn last post, you shared like your job, you got a new job, but before you started your new job, you worked for the LA Conservation Corps. I'm really curious about like what it was about, and especially like you already had a job, and like you're using your time, sacrificing your time to work there rather than at a job. You're sacrificing like the pay that was there. Just yeah, a lot of time, a lot of learning and adjusting. So I was wondering like what was your motivation for like postponing work for like a few months and then working at that LA Conservation Corps?
Yeah, definitely. So it's funny, like I was wondering, I'm like, why am I getting so many views from Daniel Joe on my LinkedIn? I'm like, what's going on over here? Now that explains it. No, I'm just kidding, man. I'm just messing. So with LA Corps and the whole situation there, I was just really, really fortunate, because I got my offer from Northrop Grumman like in advance before I graduated. And so they gave me a start date, and that start date was actually like 2.5 months after my graduation date. And they actually ended up giving me the opportunity to extend if I wanted to like 3 months. And so I just decided to go with it, because I just felt that this is like a unique time in my life where I get to like once I start working, it's like I'll be working. It's not like school where we get summer and winter breaks. So I just felt like I should utilize this time to the best that I felt. And so I wasn't really sacrificing anything. It worked out for me really greatly. And so what I started doing was I planned out within the 3 months that I had like what I wanted to do. And ideally, I wanted to go back to India. I wanted to go to like the Himalayas, and I wanted to travel there for a bit, because I had been there before, and I just really loved it there. So I wanted to go back there. And since there was a lot going on in India during that moment in time with COVID and everything, I decided to stay home. And I still wasn't sure like what I wanted to do, right? And so there was this one day because I was driving in my neighborhood, and they were doing tree planting in my neighborhood, and I just thought that was really cool because I've always like cared for the environment. I always tried to like I always felt like there was something that I could be doing more to contribute to the environment, from like recycling and using my bike more and all these other things. And I always wanted to get involved with tree planting. And so I saw that they were doing that, and I had like reached out to them, and there was a lady who was in charge of all the members there, and she told me to reach out to the LA Corps. And so I reached out, and honestly, it worked out to be one of the best things that I ever did, because not only from LA Corps did I get the chance to plant trees in my city, but I also got to participate in food drives, and I also got to help clean up the city. So we went to LA, and there's a lot of sites there because there's a lot of homeless people that live there. And so what we would do is we would go to certain areas where there's a lot of trash, and we would clean that trash up and try to make it much better than it was before. And so really it was just about giving at this point, because the summer prior to that, I spent a lot of time working on solo projects, trying to develop my coding skills. And I just felt like within this time, it was just my opportunity to just kind of give back, because I felt like some way I had already gotten something that I always wanted to, which was an offer to work in the industry. And so it was really awesome. It was really cool. I spent actually 2 months out of the 3 months that I had off to work for LA Corps. And just like in the GDSC, I made some great friends at LA Corps who I'm still in touch with to this day. And so yeah, it was really great. I enjoyed that time. And I was still like coding a little bit, but like I wasn't coding as much. I started reading books a little bit more. I really got into like this one book. And so yeah, it was really awesome just to kind of take a little bit of break from coding and stuff like that.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow. Dang, that's being able to give back to your community. Because I feel like I would have never thought of that if I had a few months off. Like I would wanna just like hang out, just have fun,
Yeah,
all day, every
yeah,
day. But
yeah,
wow, I love your heart to like
yeah.
just serve your community and just,
Uh,
yeah, like giving back. Like I feel like, yeah, it's really hard to do when I feel like school and like looking for like internships and jobs like makes me want to keep like I have to like keep working and working, that I forget that I have to take a break. I forget that there's like a whole world around me outside. Like there's so much to do other than just working. Although working hard
mhm,
is important, it's good to like balance it out. So yeah, I really love
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Um, the story and the experience that you mentioned.
Mhm,
As we transition, we're going to talk more about your current job. Lydia is
mhm,
actually going to ask about that.
Great. So I want to ask about your experience at your job. So what's it like? What's a normal day in your job at the place
yeah.
that you're working on?
Yeah. So like a day in the life.
Basically,
So
yeah.
yeah. So one, I'm really another reason like I'm really grateful is, and this can be like different for a lot of people depending on your preferences, but I get to work remotely, and I really like that because the site that I'll actually work at physically is in Redondo Beach. And so for me, it's kind of like an hour commute every morning and like evening when I'm coming back. Sometimes it can be a little bit more. So I work remotely. And what I'll do is in the morning, I like to go to the coffee shop near my house, and I'll just go there and start coding. Get myself a cortado or an Americano, iced Americano, and just start coding and just learning Python. Right now I'm working on a web app tool where we're using Django and Python to program the application. And it's just been a really fun experience because to give more context of the project, I'm working in a very small team. It's just me and another member. And we also have someone who's overseeing us on our project. And they're like the main lead. And since it's a small team and the fact that I'm working remotely and I don't have someone who I can just tap at their shoulder and like ask them for help if I don't understand things, I'm able to leverage that independence to try to learn things on my own. So I'm spending more of my time just on Stack Overflow, on Google, doing more research and trying to figure certain things out. And so that's kind of like my day in the life with my project and what I'm working on is it's just a lot of learning. What's nice about it is that, or what's different about it from school is that in school, we're still learning, but there are subjects in place for us for what we're learning. Now in the industry, it's like, it's more about applying what you learn. And so everything, once we run into problems in our code or just tasks that we have as developers to try to solve, I find myself spending more time trying to figure out, okay, how can I do this? And one thing that I really enjoy is that I get to work on both the front end and the back end. And I like the back end a little bit more. It's kind of fun trying to figure out how to try to do something and then try to optimize it to the best way that you can. Because when you're working for a company, you also have to think about like, okay, how is this data going to scale? Who's going to be my audience? And how often are they going to use this tool? How much data is going to be passing through here? And so as a developer, you get the opportunity to try to figure out, okay, I have this task. I have this algorithm that I can write to do it a certain way and try to make it the best way possible. And like when you're able to do little things like improve the runtime, for instance, and you get to like show that to your managers, like, hey, I did this. It's really nice and it's really rewarding because they see your effort. And also what's really cool, what I really like about at Northrop is that it's not really stressful as like school was. School was so much more stressful for me because we got like midterms every other week. But in the work environment, I feel like I'm more relaxed because it's like kind of doing what I enjoy doing. And anytime that I need help, I'm always willing to ask other people. And if they're not available, I always have the internet to rely on. So I haven't really run into any like significant trouble, and I've been making subtle progress. And so that's really the day to day is just coding. And so that's why I'm excited for you guys too, because I know that once you guys start working in the industry, I feel like you guys are gonna really enjoy it, and especially since you have like experience with working on the solution challenge, and as you develop more experience, it's going to be really fun. I think you guys are going to enjoy it.
Thank you. It must be a really chill life there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Chill life 24/7.
Yeah.
Just coding all day.
Yeah.
Especially when your job is like remote most of the time. Must be really nice.
Yeah.
So my last question for today for you is, what are some challenges that you faced?
Some challenges that I faced. Like I would say like just like to go with like where I started before. I think the biggest challenge that I faced was doubt. It was discouragement. It was just that feeling of like, oh, can I really do this? just not believing in myself enough. I think that was the biggest thing. But at the same time, I felt like that was the most important thing, because it really clarified to me what I really want. And so I realized that this was the biggest challenge for me when I took 428. I took the course, and I went into it with like determination to just try to pass the class. And it was hard for me at the time, because I just wasn't able to do the coding task, like, to put it frankly. And I got really discouraged, and this was like interview season and all this. I didn't get into like any jobs, anything like that. And but like looking back at it all, I'm still spending time this day on cracking the coding interview, trying to learn how to solve problems, and just get better. And from that, I realized that it is possible for me to learn, for me to grow, as long as I stick to this, and as long as I don't get discouraged. Because I felt that once I started telling myself that, okay, this is possible, I can do this, it was a total different mental shift for me. And I just started like focusing more on myself. One thing I noticed is that, like, I compare myself to a lot of people. Like, I would go on LinkedIn and I would see these other students doing great things, and I just like felt like that wasn't me. Like, I just wouldn't have that. It's like a whole psychology around it. I just felt like I wasn't at their level. And so one thing that I did during the summer that I'm still doing now is just trying to focus on what it is that I can control. So one thing that I know is that, like, if I take a class, at the end of the day, there's going to be someone who's going to decide, okay, whether this person passes or not. But what I do have control over is my effort, is my will to get better, is my desire to want to learn and to grow. And I realized that the more that I embrace that, and I focus on myself, on what I can control, I'm able to get better and actually manifest that. And so so that has been like the greatest challenge for me, is overcoming doubt. But it has also been like a hidden blessing, because it really is something that has like awakened me a little bit. It's like kind of helped me realize things that I didn't know of when I let like discouragement get the best of me. So yeah, I would have to say that would be the biggest challenge.
Yeah, that what you said just now like really resonated me, because since like it's internship hunting season, and a lot of students are trying to get internships, but these days it's just really difficult to get one. And like, since I've been just applying to many companies and getting a lot of rejections by these companies, like 95% of my brain was like, okay, thank you, next company. Yeah. But then the other 5% was like, oh no, I got rejected by this company. And so like, yes, like I did like feel like that sense of like doubt, like what you said, doubt and anxiousness within me. But at the same time, like after like experiencing getting these interviews and these coding tests from these companies, like it made me realize what I should work on. What are some things I need to work on? Like, for example, like when I was doing some technical interviews, like I realized that my data structure and algorithms sucks. And so I was like, okay, I should improve more on that. Since I'm really good at behavioral interviews, might as well like just focus more on technicals. So like after like that experience, I was like, all right, I'm gonna like dedicate my time in the winter, probably in the winter and summer, and a little bit during my school time to focus on coding interviews, so that I can like be confident in my own skills and like try to at least impress the interviewers with my skills, so that I can like automatically land that offer.
Oh yeah. And you will, Lydia. I know you will.
Thank you.
Right.
so that's pretty much all we have today. Thank you, Kevin, for agreeing with us to have a podcast with us. And so I guess to end this podcast, thank you everyone for listening, and I hope that you can take a grain of salt from Kevin's wisdom and experiences, and I hope that you have a great day, everyone. Bye, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment.
Hit the sponsors.
Hit those sponsors. Thank you once again, Kevin, for amazing advice. You're talking about your experience. I hope everyone's inspired and really motivated, like especially like it's job hunting season, like Lydia mentioned. Like it's so discouraging sometimes, imposter syndrome. So hope people get inspired, encouraged to keep working, keep learning, and just keep pushing. So thank you, everyone. And that's all for today.
Awesome.